All right, welcome back. We're going to start chapter 38. Yes, we did skip chapter 37. Remember when we've learned about other religions, we've done the first chapter and then we haven't done the second one. So chapter 38 is our last chapter that we're going to do. Before we start, get out your ISN pages and look at the first page of it, which is 257 in your ISN. The chapter is called The Legacy of Rome in the Modern World. So it's the things that we get from Rome that we still use today. The question we're trying to answer, to what extent does ancient Rome influence us today? So in the preview, before we read, you're going to kind of predict how much do you think Rome influenced us. So in the first box, Roman art influences us today. If you think that it influences us a lot, you're going to circle greatly. Moderately is kind of in the middle. Barely means just a little or not at all. So circle what you think, and if you have any supporting examples that you can think of, you can jot them down on the right. If you can't think of any, that's okay. Roman architecture and engineering influence us today. So how much do you think Roman architecture back then affects us today? Circle, and then any examples you can think of. Roman language influences us today. Do the same thing. And then Roman philosophy and law influence us today. Circle whether you think it's had an impact on our modern world. All right, so this picture here shows a modern day government building. And hopefully you can see some influence of Rome, but also, of course, from Greek, because they took a lot of the Greek ideas and made them Roman. And here is our introduction. The picture there, the ancient Roman Pantheon, is one example of Roman architecture and engineering that has influenced modern buildings. So here's the introduction. And we're going to do 31.1 and 38.2 today. So in this chapter, you will learn about contributions the Romans made to the modern world. These were in the areas of art, architecture, engineering, language, government, and the law. In the year 1764, long after the Roman Empire had fallen, a young Englishman named Edward Gibbon visited the city of Rome. Gibbon saw the ruins of ancient buildings such as the Roman Colosseum. He marveled at Roman statues and the remains of aqueducts and bridges. He wondered, how did such a great empire come to an end? Gibbon decided to write a book about the Roman Empire. More than 20 years later, Gibbon finally laid down his pen. His work filled 6 books. He called it The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. It became a very important work of history. Why did Gibbon spend so many years learning and writing about ancient Rome? One reason is that Rome has had an enormous influence on Western civilization. As one historian said, Rome perished, yet it lived on. In this chapter, you'll discover how and why the Roman Empire came apart. Then you will learn how Rome's influence lives on in many modern architecture, art, engineering, language, philosophy, and law. So here's section 38.2. There's a painting here at the bottom. As shown in the painting below, the city of Rome was attacked and looted in 410 CE by a Germanic tribe. In 476 CE, the last emperor in Rome lost his throne. This is the event that Gibbon marked as the official fall of the Western Roman Empire. Okay, so we'll go up here to the top. At the height of Rome's power in the 100 CE, Romans believed that the empire would last forever. Yet by the year 500, the western half had collapsed. What happened to cause the fall of one of the mightiest empires the world has ever known? Problems in the late empire. Most modern historians believe that a number of problems combined to bring about Rome's fall. Here are the 3 main reasons. Political instability. Rome never solved the problem of how to peacefully transfer political power to a new leader. When the emperor died, rivals might fight each other to replace him. Real power fell into the hands of the armies. who could help leaders seize power or destroy them. Sometimes rivals did not wait for an emperor to die. Emperors were regularly murdered. There were economic and social issues. Political instability led to other problems. To finance Rome's huge armies, citizens had to pay heavy taxes. These taxes hurt the economy and drove many people into poverty. Trade also suffered. Weakening frontiers. The huge size of the empire made it hard to defend. By the 300s, Germanic tribes were pressing hard on the western borders. Many of these people settled inside the empire and were recruited into the army, but these soldiers often had little loyalty. And remember, we've talked about it before, where if you have too big of an empire, obviously it becomes very difficult to defend. So here's a map. By the year 500, the Roman Empire had split in two, and the western half was collapsing into separate kingdoms. The fall of Rome. In 330 CE, the Emperor Constantine took a step that changed the future of Rome. He moved his capital 850 miles to the east to the ancient city of Byzantium in what is now Turkey. He renamed the city New Rome. Later it was called Constantinople. Today it is known as Istanbul. Before Constantine, emperors had tried sharing power over the vast empire between co-rulers. After Constantine's reign, power was usually divided between two emperors, one based in Rome and one in Constantinople. Rome became the capital of just the western part of the empire. Soon, Rome itself was threatened by Germanic tribes. In 410 CE, the Visigoths attacked and looted the city. Finally, in 476, the last emperor in the west, Romulus Augustus, lost his throne to a Germanic leader, Odoacer. Not sure how to pronounce that. Then the western half of the empire began to dissolve into separate kingdoms ruled by different tribes. In the east, the empire continued for another 1,000 years. Today we call this Eastern Empire the Byzantine Empire, after Byzantium, the original name of its capital city. The Byzantines wove the Roman heritage into their own rich civilization, but they were never able to put the old empire back together. For historians, the fall of Rome marks the end of the ancient world. Yet the influence of Rome lived on. Let's look now at how Rome's legacy continues to affect our lives today. So in your ISN pages, there are some important vocabulary words, so make sure you know what they are. Number one, it says after reading section 38.2, complete the following tasks. On each crack in the arch below, write one of the problems that caused the Roman Empire to decline and fall. One has been done for you. So they did social issues. So if you go back up here, social issues is one of the cracks. And you can see the bold, those are the other cracks that make Rome fall. For number two, for each date and a blank column below, describe the event that led to the collapse. So they did 117 CE for you. That's the height of the Roman Empire. So what happened in 330 CE, what happened in 410, and what happened in 476. I'm not worried about number 3. You can cross that one off on page 259 there. And that's all for today. So sections 38.1 and 38.2. We'll complete some more tomorrow. See you then.